What is up, guys? So we have talked about my top 10 best movies of 2016, and now it's time to talk about the ones that made me want to tear my eyes out and die. That's right, the top 10 worst of 2016 list is now here. There are a lot of bad movies this year, and I mean a lot. So many that I couldn't fit all of them onto a top 10 list. So first off, before I go into my top 10 list, here are a few dishonourable mentions. And those movies include The Purge Election Year, The Boss, Mother's Day, Capture the Flag, The Mechanic Resurrection, and Keeping Up with the Joneses. You guys also may have noticed a moving, fluffy white shape back here. That's my dog Alfie. He's here to keep me company during this very, very stressful time. So now let's go to the top 10 worst movies of 2016. Kicking it off with number 10 is Independence Day Resurgence. Now, I love the first Independence Day movie. It's one of my favourite 90s cheese movies. I love it. It's entertaining, and I was incredibly excited to see this movie when it was released. Admittedly, it was great seeing Jeff Goldblum back and Bill Pullman. I thought they were okay in the movie, but this movie was just a big mess. It tried so hard to recapture what the original had and just failed in every aspect. Plus, the stupid ass setup to the sequel, which I hope we never get. This movie was incredibly disappointing, and that is why it's number 10 on my top 10 worst list. In at number 9 is a movie which you could watch with your friends just to take the piss out of how bad it is. That movie is Gods of Egypt. I don't know where to begin with this movie because it is just awful. It is so bad. Especially with its special effects that look like PlayStation 2 graphics. It was awful. It looks so bad. And it's a shame because I like quite a few of the actors that are in this movie, but this movie just sucked ass. Throughout the entire runtime of this movie, I was bored or just laughing at how bad it was. And the reason it's not higher up on this list is because I do feel like you guys can put this in and just laugh at how awful it is with your friends. In at number 8 is The Fifth Wave. Now, the first 5 minutes of The Fifth Wave I actually quite enjoyed. I will say that because it's true, it started off with an interesting premise. However, then it went into the same routine that every tween drama, dystopian futuristic type movie has gone into. Uninteresting characters, a forced romance, love triangle type thing, a plot that makes no sense, incredibly predictable, and just leaves you bored out of your mind. At number 7, my first horror movie on this list, The Other Side of the Door, was terrible. Now again, there were some positives to this movie, but as a whole, the movie basically sucked ass, and that's all I really need to say about this movie because it was just bad. And I hope none of you went to see it. Obviously, if you're horror fans and you enjoy the horror genre, you might enjoy it, but for me, I hated it. At number 6, another horror movie, Friend Request. Now this to me is basically the live action version of Unfriended. That way it doesn't take place fully on a computer screen. Unfriended I actually quite enjoyed. I thought it was quite a tense movie. This movie on the other hand jumps into the same horror tropes that we know and love. The jump scares that mean absolutely nothing, incredibly predictable, and by the end they have a twist which just tears the entire movie apart. It was shit. At number 5 is the first animated movie on my list, and that is Ice Age Collision Course. Now, I really enjoyed the first Ice Age movies, and they started to go really downhill, but I continue to watch them because I feel like maybe one day they will recapture the magic that the first two had. Especially the first one. What I want now is if they end this series, do one more where they can try and recapture that magic with just Sid, Manny and Diego just going on a journey together the way it used to be. This movie was just full of shit that just didn't make sense, stupid humour, characters that were introduced that I didn't give a shit about, and a villain that was completely useless when you take into account that Buck took down like a crocodile on steroids, and in this movie he can't deal with fucking birds! Now I know there were people out there who love this movie, and if you do, that is great, but I hated this film, and I like the first two Ice Age movies. I want to see them do good. I want to see a good Ice Age movie again, but this wasn't it. This was a big, steaming pile of shit. In at number 4 is a remake we didn't ever need, Point Break. Yes, Point Break is a remake of a 90s classic, and in this they tried going a different direction, which I can kind of respect, but they didn't bring anything new to this movie. The stunts look pretty cool, Other than that, the acting was terrible, the directing was terrible, the story was terrible, everything about this movie was terrible. And at number 3 is 50 Shades of Black, and I don't understand how this movie was so bad when it was spoofing something that was my most hated movie of last year. All this movie had to do was make me laugh at how bad 50 Shades of Grey was. It had to poke fun at that and make me laugh, and it failed to do that. In fact, I think I'd rather watch 50 Shades of Grey than this piece of shit. In at number 2, and my number 1 and 2 do keep moving up and down, but the reason I put this in number 2 is because originally it wasn't supposed to get a theatrical release. That movie is Norm of the North. This movie was originally supposed to be released direct to DVD. It wasn't. It was released in theatres last minute by the studio, meaning I got the chance to go and watch this movie. It was boring. The animation was shit. And the most entertaining part of this entire movie was the child running up and down the stairs in my screening. And in at number 1 is a movie that was released intentionally for the cinema, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, I believe is how you pronounce his name. You may recognise him from directing the Men in Black movies, but this movie, 9 Lives, was absolutely awful. I hated every minute of this movie, and I don't understand how they can have a movie with Kevin Spacey and Christopher Walken in and make it this fucking bad. I swear to God, when I left the screening for this movie, brain cells had died. It was that awful. I hated every minute of it. The storyline was shit. The CGI for the cat was awful. I mean, obviously they had a real cat in certain points, but when they used CGI, it looked absolutely terrible. Plus, the movie didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be a family movie or a stocks and bonds business type movie. It just made no sense, and it bored the living shit out of me. Oh, I'm calm now, Alfie. I'm calm. You okay? So those are my top 10 worst movies of 2016. Do you agree with my list? Are there any movies that are missing from this list that you would have put on there? And let me know what your top 10 worst movies of the year was in the comment section below. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you want to see more videos just like this one, then subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks again for watching. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you all in the next video.